That's the wrong video. Hold up.
You guys don't realize how much power
This is the book we actually...
Too many signs, I can't read them. Wouldn't recognize the turn even if I seen it. Been driving all along, feel like I'm dreaming. Okay.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I am your host, Vocab Malone. Welcome to Street Apologist Live, Friday, March 24th, about 1 p.m. here, Pacific time. It is the day after the Michael Brown and Ahlazar Lawya debate. And today, I'm going to let you jump on this platform, come in the room, share your thoughts, your voice, your opinion for about 90 minutes. The link is right there. It's on the screen, and it's pinned in the live chat. So come on in, we'll talk. I'm not going to give you the whole show. You want to make your voice heard? This is the time to do it. I'm going to share a little bit of mine too, but I thought it would be very interesting to hear what the audience would have to say. And so that's exactly what we are going to do. Now, in the meantime, make sure that you please thumbs up this video. Please subscribe to this channel. Please like the video. That's what I need from you. So while you guys are deciding if you want to come in and join me and share your thoughts, let's look around the internet first and find out what some of the reaction has been. You guys ready to do that? Let's look around here. Let's see. Okay. Gonna share my screen. There we go. Okay, so first up, this is the actual debate itself. Let's check on its progress right now. Let's see. Oh, this needs to be updated. Let's see how many views it's got. It was 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's got 26,000 views, streamed 20 hours ago. So my goodness, I guess that's... Someone do the math on that. It's more than 1,000 views an hour, I can tell you that. Okay, so there's that. Now, one of the most interesting things I saw, this is pre-debate, I wish I could have covered this better, was Abu's preliminary thoughts. I don't know if you guys were able to see that, but he did a really good job in laying out some of the issues, and I appreciated his take. He always has insightful takes. And so if you haven't seen that, I actually encourage you to check it out. It'd be interesting for you to see, especially in light now that the debate has happened. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. And then let's go over here. What else we got? K-Dub has shared a few shorts from the debate. I think I have clips of those, and he's got 3 up. I may play them so you can get his perspective. He's already made 3 shorts out of it. Then it looks like Dr. Brown is live right now, but I saw he's going to go live on this... let me see. Oh, it looks like so he's uploaded it. So see, he's uploaded it right here. An hour ago he uploaded it. It's got 400 views on his channel. And then oh, look, here you go. He's going to go live. It's actually in 30 minutes, so 15 minutes. So I'm totally stupid by sharing this. But, you know, he's my brother. It's all good. I love him. Because you guys are going to abandon me and go over there, you know. But he's not going to. Anyways, so he's going to give his reflections there. So that's cool. And then what else do we got? Orion Lot from GMS did one. And in his that I'm showing on the screen, I remember him mentioning that he was watching a video by, I think, GMS Las Vegas that prompted him to do that. So I assume that exists as well. This one was fascinating. This guy basically said that, I got a clip of this. I want to play this later on. This one was interesting. Then this one was interesting too. One of the reasons he said Dr. Brown lost him and didn't convince him on the debate actually was because he didn't have a beard. So I want to play that clip for you later on. And then Yehuda Israel, I don't know a lot about this guy, but he sounds like a non-New Testament type believer, seems to know some Hebrew. And his thoughts were very interesting. What is that? Oh, that's my own phone. My goodness. And then Brother Brian shared a little clip there that had some different things from other videos in it that I thought was good. I have not watched Judah's. By the way, Judah Natsara, you and I talked before. I would talk to you again. Oh, I'm not getting phone calls. Has anyone else called? My goodness, no one else. I didn't realize that you were calling. I hope I didn't miss calls. I thought I had the sound on for the calls, but it looks like I'm going to have to strictly do it visually. I'll bring you up here in a second, my friend. Let me just show a couple people what else is going on. But Judah, look, we've talked before. And I'd love to have you back on. Well, actually, I came on your channel. I'd love to have you on this channel and see if we could talk again, because I feel like we could get through a more productive dialogue, hopefully. Anyways, and this is an interesting thing about Isaiah 56. It was just an isolated clip, but I like how people take out clips. This is fascinating. They did a watch party over here, and a lot of perspectives. About the last 30 minutes is a review. So this is all within 20 hours already. And the very first one I saw was this. I'm not going to read the title, but the Yap Gang that put this out, they are actually Hebrew Israelites. They just focus a lot on genetics, and they seem to have a certain perspective, which is kind of obvious by the title they chose. But I'm just giving you kind of going around a horn on the internet as it is. Now let's bring a couple people in here. I'm actually going to bring people in more than one. I haven't really done that a lot lately, but we'll go in order. So first up, K-Dub, I'm going to bring you in. And then next up, I'm going to bring up JR or Junior. You're coming next. And let's talk. So what did you think, K-Dub, about the debate? I did see your shorts, so that gives me some indication, but talk to the people, man.
Yeah, I just think from one perspective, it demonstrated, just from a scholarly perspective, Dr. Brown clearly knows how to debate. He knows.
Oh, just a second. Hey, just for a second, JR, can you mute your phone just till I'll bring you. Can mute your phone for now. I mean, I can mute you too. Actually, I can do it on my end. My bad. Actually, I'll do it on my end. My bad. JR, I got it. Okay, but I'll get you on. I see you driving there. Okay. Go ahead, K-Dub. Sorry about that, bro.
Yeah, it just shows how he clearly knows how to debate. You know, he's more skilled. He's done way more. So, I mean, one would expect that, right? But I thought there was an interesting part on the debate where, Guerrilla Hebrew was quoting a lot of outside sources of Dr. Brown, which I think is totally fair, holding him to consistency on his word. But then Dr. Brown does it, and it seemed to be a problem. To me, that showed a bit of a double standard in the debate. Like, I can quote one of those classic, don't quote what I said outside of the debate, but I'll do it for you. And then when pressed on that issue, it was just like, well, that's my personal opinion. Wait a second. You're okay with double standards? It's your personal opinion. That's okay. And so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and I think your short, that's what you shared on that short. Let me just get a second real quick, JR, because you may have to make a stop soon. We'll try to catch you while you got a second here. K-Dub, stay on. JR or Junior, I don't know. I unmuted you. You can unmute yourself. It looks like your window's shut too. But go ahead, man. Your thoughts on the debate. Deliver the goods.
Yeah, it's JR, man. What's going on? Grace and peace, fellas. I thought Dr. Brown did a really good job at dismantling pretty much everything that Guerrilla Hebrew brought to the table. Me personally, I thought it was a bit disingenuous for Guerrilla Hebrew to go get scholarly work from an Ashkenazi geneticist trying to prove or disprove a point when he doesn't hold to any type of DNA testing. I don't really like the way he twisted that, but what made it really bad for him, and I'll say this really quickly because I'm back driving, what made it really bad for Guerrilla Hebrew was he tried to go get an Ashkenazi Jew geneticist that disproves or says, these places where Ashkenazi Jews come from, and then Michael Brown caught it and debunked that. That's what made Guerrilla Hebrew look really bad to me.
So it sounds like you watched the whole thing. Did you enjoy it?
Bro, it was awesome, man. I mean, I have been waiting for this for so long because I know that a lot of these Hebrew Israelites are so excited that the likes of Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, right, Fantasia, Kendrick Lamar are
them all.
Sprouting and
Zab Judah, Boys to Men. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The guy from, what's that singing group? Not Drew Hill.
Jagged Edge.
I can't think of it. Jagged Edge, there you go. They're excited now. This is an exciting time for them because big wigs are starting to lay claim to Hebrew Israelism. But here's what's happening as well. It's alerting our scholars. And so now you got the likes of Guerrilla Hebrew, who, in my opinion, is a bit too big for his britches to try to go up against somebody who has the facts. Now, here's one thing, I'll say this and I'll bounce it back to you, Vocab. Here's the problem with Hebrew Israelites, among many problems. They posit a lot of claims, but they do not vet the information that they put out there. And you'll see soon. I'm sure some people are doing these background checks on some of the information that Gorilla Hebrew brought out to see how bogus it really was, just as Dr. Brown said.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see people kind of following up different sources and things like that. I look forward to that as well. Hey, JR, thanks for your perspective, man. Perfect amount of time. You nailed it. Be safe and make sure that you finish completing recording your stops in your diab before you go on to the next stop, because you don't want to get a violation for recording while moving. I'm just saying.
It sounds like you know what you're talking about, okay?
I'm just trying to help you out, man, and make sure, you're doing your OSHA regs too with your hours of stuff. If you want to try to work Saturday, you got to make sure you got the proper amount of rest in between and all that, all right?
Oh, yeah. I know that language, brother. You know what I'm saying? I know a brown brother. I can hear a brown brother when I can hear one.
All right, man, you be blessed. Have a beautiful day, man.
All right, brother. Shalom.
All right.
Y'all, man.
Hey, somebody else just came in and they dropped out. So where'd you go? Come back in. Where'd you go? Cyrus, I think it was. Okay, K-Dub, continue. I just want to make sure I could tell he was kind of in the middle of stuff. I do want to give a shout out real quick to Jay Fry. He's a faithful super chatter, one of the people that really holds this channel down, besides the Patreons. And we need 2 more, I think, to hit our goal of 100, maybe 3 more. I got to relook at it. But shout out to you, my man. So, K-Dub, you going to make more shorts? You going to cover this? What are you going to do with it?
I don't know. I've had a couple of people reach out to me, and they want to discuss the logical fallacies that existed throughout the debate. One thing I found that was interesting, especially during the cross examination, was the really non-committive answers. Or there were a few things that I saw. Right, one was I just disagree. Okay, well that's not an actual answer to what I'm saying. And would Gorilla Hebrew have accepted that if Michael Brown did that? Well, I just disagree with what you're saying. But What's your justification for why you disagree? So I thought that was interesting. That was the strategy in the cross-examination. It really wasn't expounding on answers, just saying I disagree. But that's not an actual answer. It's no one would accept that in a real supposed to be debate. And so
I mean, I did hear some people say that part seemed evasive. I know that I've only seen maybe one review where somebody, Yap Gang, was kind of looking at things in a more critical light. Every Hebrew Israelite from multiple different camps and across the spectrum has been pretty excited about everything. And honestly, if I was a Hebrew Israelite, I think I would feel the same way. I think I would be glad about the event and the overall showing. I understand that perspective, but I wonder if any will at least say, well, we should have engaged here, in whatever manner they might say it or think it. Just that one thing. It seems like they might see, why are we pleading the fifth here? I'm not, you know what I'm saying? And just so you know, this is to audience, I'm trying to be very cautious and respectful of my comments because I was involved in the debate, full disclosure behind the scenes, so I don't want to say anything that's like privileged information that I have. I'm not going that route, and that's one of the reasons I want to open up to everybody else, just to give them a voice, Christian, Israelite, atheist, whoever they are, to give their perspective. And so I'm just making minimal comments here today and trying to do so in a way that, the people involved wouldn't have a problem with either way, even if they didn't agree with my perspective. But, all right, what about you? We got D. New in the house. Let me put your name on the screen here. I think you were there from the beginning when there was like 1,000 people waiting in the chat. You were one of them, right?
Yeah, there was, I think half an hour before, there was like almost 200 people in the chat. The live chat was going crazy half an hour before the debate started. The live chat needed to be on slow mode half an hour before the debate started. So, but yeah, I echo what everyone has said so far. It's interesting because I think that a lot of people were looking forward to this. The closest thing that we had to this, maybe not in the same route, but maybe towards the same route, was the debate with Jabari Osaze and Dr. Vince Bantu. And so I think that people have been looking for something like this again. So it's cool that it happened. Again, I echo what everyone has said so far. K-Dub, I saw your video this morning. Hilarious because it's true. But yeah, I just think that, ideally in debates, you want truth to prevail, right? Obviously, it depends on how each side or how each party presents their truth. But I think that Dr. Brown presented his case very well. That's not to say that Ahlazar didn't have a good presentation. We've definitely seen worse. Hashtag James White versus Rakoff. So we've definitely seen worse. But yeah, I think that Dr. Brown presented his case well, and it was just good to see that. I think that truth prevailed.
One thing that was interesting, just real quick, was I've again I've said this before that because I don't think they've been in actual moderated debate. Many don't know how to debate. One thing you saw was constantly, I'm like, whoa, new information being brought out the whole debate, even in the closing arguments. It's like, I want to return back to my slide. And well, you have to finish that in your opening presentation. I mean, the rebuttal is not an opportunity to present more information. The closing statements are not an opportunity to present a closing. You're supposed to present all that into, your opening statement. And if you just have too much information, you just have too much information. Because it's not fair, because your opponent's not able to respond to those things. And Michael Brown called it out. He responded in the Q&A because he's like, well, I didn't have an opportunity to actually address what you said, and I can. One funny part, I'm sorry, I gotta talk about it, but the Randy Moss clip got me. I was driving when it came out, and I almost spit my energy drink out. So I thought that was pretty funny, the Randy Moss line.
So I don't think, you and I know Minnesota. I don't think everyone knows who Randy Moss is. So tell them who Randy Moss is, because it may be lost on some people. It sort of makes it extra funny who he is in a way.
So Randy Moss is an amazing Hall of Fame NFL wide receiver. He played most memorable for the Minnesota Vikings. And Guerrilla Hebrew made this connection between this artifact that looked like Randy Moss, which I was looking at the picture. I'm like, I'm not saying he's like this uncanny resemblance to Randy Moss. I'm like, this guy still, today, I don't know. I thought that was pretty hilarious to me. So,
yeah, you have that clip that you put up on a short. After you jump off, if there's no one else, I'll probably play that clip. You know what I'm saying? I'm just reading through some of the different comments. They're all over. People have different perspectives, and I'll put them on the screen. Listen, if you want to come make your voice heard, there's room for another person, so you can jump up in here and we could talk. Just gotta speak your piece, and that's all right. So some people say, hey, that was a great debate tactic by Guerrilla, so people have different perspectives on that, and I'm just sharing. Shout out to Nate, by the way, holding it down as he often does. Well, anything else, K-Dub? I'm not saying you got to go. I mean, I'm just saying, I'll just make sure I get you before I start playing clips and all that.
Yeah, I kind of joke with you afterwards that I was thinking about doing a fallacy game where we count the logical fallacies that was committed by Ahlazar. With all due respect, I do agree with D-New. He actually came prepared. He was presenting his information, but I think once he saw it going a certain way, he started to pull the white man card, which I thought it was honestly, I was surprised it didn't come out sooner. But I think that says a lot and Dr. Brown 100% nailed it when he said, hey, I think this shows you don't actually have an argument when you have to appeal to race baiting, right? Let's just address the chart. And if you actually listen to the debate, there was very minimal positive presentation for why he's an Israelite, why the 12 tribes chart is correct. What we heard in the debate over and over is, we know y'all are the fake Jews, so it's got to be us. That was pretty much the argument that was presented in the debate, and I was disappointed with the lacking information of the 12 charts and why that is the biblical argument, rather than just going on attacking Ashkenazi Jews.
Right, fascinating stuff. Look, William Stevens is here. I actually have a clip of you, William. I'm pretty sure this is you. I watched your video, and I thought it was very interesting. You guys, let's watch William Stevens, and then we're going to talk to Veda and Old School Saint. So I got a couple more people in here. But check this out. So you guys see William Stevens' comment. I'm pretty sure this is him, if I'm not mistaken. Let me play this clip. I'd love to hear what you guys think of this clip here by William Stevens, who did a review of the debate. That's why I have this, and I recognize the name, unless it's someone different. Let me see here. Is this you? Is this you, William Stevens? I thought that was the name on the clip. And I'm going to play this, and maybe you can respond to this if this is you. If not, it's still a good clip either way. Here we go.
Michael Brown is another white paintbrush from the white supremacists' paint shop. He's trying to take this and paint him white.
So, William Stevens, was that you? I want to play the clip one more time.
Is another white paintbrush from the white supremacists' paint shop. He's trying to take this and paint him white.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that was you, William. So, Dinu, what do you think of the clip there? I kind of got a kick out of it, to be honest with you.
You want me to say some words?
Yeah. What do you think of William Stevens' perspective on the debate there?
Let me say pass.
Oh, you ain't gonna say nothing? Okay, fine. All right, whatever. William Stevens, was that you, bro?
He said that's not him.
Oh man, because the name on there says William Stevens. I almost thought it must be a different William Stevens. Well, either way, that's a great clip by Hebrews Light reviewing the debate. Okay, Old School Saint, looks like you're up next. Make sure you unmute yourself. What's your perspective on the debate there?
Well, first of all, nice to talk to you, my Sicilian brother.
Hey, Paisan, Viva Italia.
Paisan, I'm a boy from Brooklyn, anyway.
Oh,
but anyhow,
okay.
listen, I'm a big boxing fan, and this had all of the feel of like a big pay-per-view fight.
Right.
I really enjoyed it. I was looking forward to it the whole day, kind of on edge when it started. I got to tell you, a couple things really shocked me. It took a while for this to come out in the debate, but I was shocked that this guy, GRLA, admitted very late in the debate that the chart is not all-inclusive. In fact, he used the term general. He said it's general, it's not absolute. And I thought that he basically gave away the whole debate on that one item alone. I've seen a lot.
So hold on, real quick on that. So sure. I was moderating, and so I got to be honest. There's like a lot of stuff I missed in this, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to bring people on, because I forget some of the. I've got to go back and watch this thing again. I was really multitasking. Did he say that?
He said it explicitly in some of the comments that I've added some comments in there, and I actually quoted him because I went back and I actually stopped the video, played it back this morning, and I actually quoted it word for word. I don't remember explicitly, but I think it was like at the 24-minute mark, 2 hours and 24-minute mark. It was very late into the debate, and he said explicitly, the chart is not all-inclusive. The word that he used is that it's general. And then he said, let me see, I think I actually wrote down what he said. He said it's general, and I don't actually, let me just see here. Let me see, I do. He said, the particulars we believe to be the tribes, his English is a little whacked, is not expressed in the chart itself. So in other words, he's saying it's not all-inclusive. And my thing was, if you read scripture, if you look, scripture tells you where the tribes were dispersed. Greece, Rome, Assyria. There was a huge Jewish contingent in Alexandria, in Egypt. Iran and Iraq Babylon, basically after the destruction of Jerusalem by the Romans, was basically the center, and Alexandria were basically the centers of Jewish discourse. So how on earth do you wind up with a 12 tribes chart that excludes all of the countries around the Mediterranean where we know the Jews were exiled to, and then include nations that didn't even exist at that period of time? It's mind-boggling. And when I saw that he said that, and I've watched his other videos, and he says explicitly, "Hey man, what nation are you from? Where's your father born?" And if you said, I think I've seen you say with him vocab where you basically said, "I'm Sicilian," and they say, "Hey, then you're an Edomite."
Well,
So-
yeah, part of that though. So it's on my mom's side, not my dad's side, and so that's part of their contention. Sometimes some of them say it's possible if it's on your dad's side, but yeah,
Right.
that's what that is with that. But
So I found that mind-boggling. I also this whole thing with Deuteronomy 28:68 is just it's a flat out farce on any level, and it really can't be defended. You have to completely mangle scripture to make it fit. And I thought Dr. Brown did a good job of basically shooting that down. And that's really the center stone of their argument. You take that apart, you take that away from them, and it's basically gone. The other thing is there were a couple of things that were really funny. One of which was when Dr. Brown brought up the fact that both David and Solomon are described as ruddy, just like Esau. The Guerrilla Hebrew went and said, well, you have to read the context because the context lets you know what shade of red we're talking about, which I thought was absolutely hysterical because it's preposterous. And last but not least, this will be the last thing that I'll say, is that I saw, and I don't know, I saw a little hint of the devil and Satan, to be very honest with you, when he smiled when Dr. Brown mentioned that whole quote of smashing the skulls of Jewish people, white people, whoever it was. But I thought that was very, very revealing that he would laugh at something like that. He didn't deny it. You could see he was, to him it was, and he was shaking his head, yes. I thought that was really kind of chilling and very, very revealing, because look, you get in conversations with people, you talk to them long enough, sooner or later they're going to reveal themselves, and he did.
yeah, I think you're talking about the comments Dr. Brown was quoting that Guerrilla Hebrew had made, not at the last Super Bowl, but the previous Super Bowl at SoFi Stadium. And that was right before actually he talked to Lecrae, the Christian rap artist. And those are the comments he made, and that's what you're referring to there. Now, I thought you guys say saw. I saw it. But you said saw. I thought people from Brooklyn are supposed to say I saw it. Am I wrong?
You're probably thinking about Boston.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, hey, thanks for your comments. Let's get on to Veda. Have a great day, brother. All right, what's up, my man in the house? How you doing? What's going on, man?
You're muted, Veda.
That's my bad. That's my fault. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You are unmuted. That was my fault. Go ahead, brother.
Them terrible moderators, man. The terrible moderator. You can't moderate now. You was messing up last night. I'm just joking.
Actually, hold on.
I'm joking.
Hold up. I got something for you. Hold up. Let me actually.
I'm joking.
No. Just hold that thought, because since you mentioned it, I got something specifically for that.
Veda.
Hold on.
Hi, D New.
Yeah. This is the proof. I moderated excellent. Ready?
Nah, you did.
This message right here is from Gazah the Zealot. He sent me a private message right before we went live. Are you guys ready to see what Gazah the Zealot said? Okay. This is what Gazah the Zealot said to me. See the Gazah the Zealot in my inbox? Appreciate your moderation skills yesterday, devil. Hold on, I'm gonna wait till it focuses in there. It's gonna eventually do. I'm gonna hold this up though till it focuses, okay? But go ahead, bro. What do you got? Because this.
He says, "Satan, get ye in front of me, in front of my opponent."
Appreciate your moderation skills yesterday, devil. So he said I did great You know, so shout out to that gentleman. And I just want to say, I appreciate your compliments
Yeah.
today.
Right.
He sounds
And
trustworthy. He sounds trustworthy.
Yeah, so shout out to Gaza. Why isn't it focusing? You guys can see it though, basically, right?
yeah, we can see it. I was
Okay.
able to read it. I was able to read it, and I too sent you a message this morning, Devil, and I said that you did a good job. So, so, so good job, sir.
Hey, that's true too. I got that one right here, but I don't see the word devil in there. But yeah, man, I'm glad you were able to tune in. You know, you were there when we were out in San Diego talking to Sicarii. I guarantee you, those guys are all very excited right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was there. You know, I did a live stream recouping it, recapping it, and everything. Man, some of them they be on my page and whatnot. But
Oops.
yeah, man. I thought last night was I mean, I thought it was great that it's happened. I mean, you guys have. I was able to capture some of this afternoon's conversation. You know, I think you guys captured that well. You know, that it's just good that it happened. You know, I would love to see, more folks who proclaim to be Hebrew Israelites, having formal engagements, debates, conversations, whatever,
Yeah.
with our scholarly, representatives. Obviously, we have you, and they don't even want to talk to you no more. It's like you sort of wore out your welcome as far as communicating vocab. So I thought it was great.
Well, GRLA and I did work together ever since, like, all the way back in, I don't remember, December or something to make this happen now
That's
in
true.
March. So I'm just saying, we did work together, pull it off. Him and I were communicating back and forth frequently. And then we met up in person at the Super Bowl. It was downtown Phoenix. We met up to do a coin toss, And him and I have been talking, trying to figure out if we're going to do something next. In fact, we're even toying with the idea of doing a joint review where him and I both review of a section of it together.
That'd be great.
Now, will it happen? I don't know. But he's doing a review too. And so, I'm doing a review and I'm mainly just letting the audience talk, but we'll find out.
Yeah, that would be great. And what I was trying to indicate when I said you sort of you're welcome in the Hebrew Israelite community in general, not necessarily for Guerrilla Hebrew, but I just mean just in general. Like if you say, hey man, you want to talk to vocab, folks don't say no. Across the various camps. But I think it's great that that they've been willing to collaborate with you. A couple of things
And don't forget also, I recently interviewed King David a couple weeks ago.
Dope.
Hebrew Israelite who is King David. I interviewed him. He told me Tupac was Yahushai. So some of them are willing to talk to me.
Yeah, and actually, can I just say too, he did come back after saying that he wanted to kill you. He did come back and say that he doesn't hate you after all. So
it's true.
Yeah.
Because initially he said, I want to go and kill Vocab Malone and make his mom die, and I can't say the rest. But it's on one of my shorts. Anyways, hey, shout out real quick. Hold up. So it wasn't William Stevens. It was William Hughes. That was so William saying I did him dirty. I knew it was William that I played that clip from, but it was William Hughes. Again, it's not focusing, but you can see that one I played was William Hughes. So my bad, William Stevens. That wasn't you. But let me know if you did the review too. But go ahead, Veda. What else you got, man?
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, and I think you guys talked about this a little bit. I thought it was really interesting, and I was a little disappointed in Guerrilla Hebrew and his various no comments or I disagree. And Dr. Brown invited him to elaborate, and he wouldn't elaborate. I was a little disappointed in that, because it was obviously, I think Guerrilla Hebrew is in immense theological error. But he did kind of strike me as one of the ones who are willing to engage, more than others, or at least go further. And I thought this was an opportunity for him to do that, and I'm going to allude to a show I did with Tazariak and Holloway, not to promote my show, but when they debated, when Captain Tazariak and Holloway and Mike Holloway debated on my channel, and it was on the King Agrippa passage. King Tazariak, he didn't run from it. Now, granted, it made
you call him King Tazariak?
Ain't that his name?
No, it's Captain Tazariak, bro. Over here calling him. Hey, you better watch out. General Yohannon's going to get mad. He's going to say, "Why are you ranking up Cap without my
man.
permission. Don't you know I'm commanding General Yohana? You over here call
That's
him
too
king?
biblical. That's too biblical. You have to come up with something non-biblical.
Yeah, he needs to be like colonel,
Cap-
major,
yeah, like
private first
captain.
class,
Yeah, lieutenant.
E4, E6, Green Beret, Special Forces. Hey, Orthodox War, we're gonna get you in next. Go ahead, Veda. Let me let you.
Yeah, but the point I was getting at with Captain Cesariak is that Cesariak didn't run from it. He allowed them to talk about that scripture and made his argument be exposed for the crazy argument that it is, but he at least didn't run from it. And I was hoping for the same thing with Guerrilla Hebrew. So when Dr. Brown was asking him questions, and it was a few times where he did it, where he would say, "I disagree." Dr. Brown's like, "Okay, well, can you elaborate? Can you explain?" I don't want to, but I disagree. It's like, man, I don't know how to make blinds. I can debate a professional blind maker, make a comment. They ask me a question, I say I disagree. And then if they ask me to defend, I say, no, all I want to say is I disagree. I can do that right now with no preparation if that's all we're doing. So
sounds like that'd be a case of the blinds leading the blind.
Man,
Dad.
It's easy. Well, it's easy for vocab. You got bars over there.
Well, those are dad bars right there, bro. But go ahead, man. I know I'm sorry to interrupt you with my little dumb jokes, but final comment, because I'm going to jump on and get these other two folks.
Oh, just that I thought it was interesting that in the chat, it looked like Hebrew Israelite supporters were saying that Dr. Brown wasn't using scripture in his soliloquies, but he was using scripture, and oftentimes he was using scripture to debunk certain Hebrew Israelite arguments. So I thought it was interesting that they thought he wasn't using scripture. And also, I mean, if the debate is, who are the real Jews, it takes me back to when he was questioning Dr. Brown, and he was like, okay, well, show me where this stuff is going on in Deuteronomy 28 to who you believe is Jews. And he answered it. He was like, no, that's not good enough. It was like, okay, well, let's go line by line. And then he started moving the goalposts. Okay, well, no, I'm talking about what today. Okay, well, I'm talking about in America. Okay, well, I'm talking about in New York City.
Did all that really happen?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, people, I think I missed a lot of this debate because I was pushing buttons and typing and looking at stuff and time. I believe you. Honestly, I don't even know what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, that was a good description of what happened. That's exactly
okay, bro. Well, that's why I had you. I'm glad you came on, man, because I think I had an out-of-body experience, man. I was just watching. I don't know what was going on. I'm just kidding, man. But that was okay. That's good, man. Well, everyone subscribe to Veda.
Yes, sir.
You definitely Veda. Is he a real one?
There we go. Is he a real one? And the he that we talking about is Jesus, y'all.
And that's dope. You had that debate with Taz and them on there. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Gotta stay for
let me get more on here, brother, man. Thanks for coming on, man. We got love for you. And you have a beautiful day.
All right, I'm out.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for being patient there, Orthodox. Or bring you on. Switch you over to 3. Bring you on. Let's see. You should be on. Let me just make sure I got your volume, brother. Okay, got your volume. Now all I see is a screen, but that's all right. I'll forgive you. Go ahead, bro. What you got?
First and foremost, peace and blessings to D-Nude. Second of all, bro, like I gotta give you props on this because, like, as somebody who's moderated a multitude of debates, I will never go on someone else's channel and moderate a debate where I don't get sticks to control stuff, bro. And literally, like, so this is your first debate that you moderated?
No, I've moderated debates before, but I've never had to do one in that exact kind of situation. Actually, that was funny. I even debated or moderated one that was. I remember one I moderated was live. It was J.D. Hall and Joe McDermott on theonomy, and that's when I had the Italia fro. But that was in person. Anyways, I've done a couple, but I agree,
that's
bro.
A long time ago, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's like pre-stream, That's like there's no 4,000 live streamers and live viewers. Like that was, that was a lot to handle right there. You know what I'm saying? I got to give you props on that.
Nah, bro,
when you go back and rewatch the debate, fam, like I say this with all candor, your boy recaught himself, right? Like, so this is to me, I'm gonna say this as somebody who's into the scholastic arguments. I personally believe that Ahlazar did worse than Rakah did against James White, given the fact that if you account for the time to improve on the level of information and whatnot, right? In terms of like that was a long time ago. Rakah, you know what I'm saying? Like it was his first time interacting with somebody like a James White. Like it was the first time we see like an Israelite Christian interaction at that level. Okay, we see what that was. All these years later, we're talking like Sicarii supposed to be like at the top of the heap scholastically when it comes to the BHI and whatnot, right? And so this is the best they can do. Just understand my man's whole argument was special pleading and whatnot. The entire argument and presentation. I was dying because like I kept saying on other channels that Ahlazar was definitely making me believe in resurrection because he kept dying and coming back. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, come on, bro. No, you know what's funny? I'm listening, and as you can tell, I missed some of the debate because of the moderation element. Like, I got to go back and watch it again. But actually, so I actually disagree with you to a certain extent. I thought
because you're listening, it sounded good. If you go watch it, it's different. It's like Ahlazar sounded fantastic, but when you go back and compare it point for point, bro, it was horrible.
Okay, so that's the distinction I would actually make, is what you just said there. So we're maybe a little closer. I don't know. Presentation level, if you talk about who won or lost the debate, on the presentation level, it was way too close for comfort, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Way too close on a presentation level between
Agreed.
Audio, the visual. We talk about voice pace. You talk about rhythm. You talk about timing. You talk about finishing, completing sentences, speed, enunciation, pitch, control, power. Now I'm talking strictly on that, right? Even the visual element of the way the PowerPoint looked. You know, now if you're talking strictly facts, information, there's very few places I could say I could hand it over to anyone other than Brown on that point. So I don't think that element was really close at all. But the thing is, I'm thinking about the audience. And when I think about this large audience, I mean, 4,000 people, so it's not just one audience, right? But when I'm thinking about it, as a Christian apologist, I'm there to be fair and all that. But as a moderator, I'm there to be fair. But as a Christian apologist, I'm like, this is way too close for comfort as far as a presentation level. So that's why I said earlier, if I was a Hebrew Israelite, of most types and stripes, especially of a one must variety, I feel like I'd be somewhat elated right now. You know what I mean? But I feel you. Go ahead, man.
I can agree with that because like so Ahlazar gave a better presentation than what Rakah gave, right? Like he definitely redeemed the Israelites on that level, right? 100%. But the way I keep describing is this: like he was out there doing street ball, he was out there breaking ankles, doing sick moves and whatnot. But when it was time to hit the layup or hit the shot, he missed the layup and missed the shot. You can see that going down the stretch with with the Q&A and the pushback from Brown and whatnot. Like your man was literally like sitting on his hands, not throwing punches. Like, no, I don't want to answer that. No, I don't want to answer. And at the same point in time, again, like, and I agree with you on the presentation. I wish Brown could have put the DNA actually in his presentation, but he actually called him out on the right stuff. And this is what I'm saying. Ahlazar literally, he was special plead in the coldest way. So first of all, did you see were you able to see the list where he had literally bad knees as one of the things that as one of the symptoms of the curses and whatnot?
Okay, yes, I did. And I tuned into your part of the review you were involved with, and actually, out of all the parts, some of the parts I caught, I specifically caught the bad knees part. Do you remember what one of the panelists said? They made a pretty funny quip in regards to the bad knees. I don't know if you remember it.
Oh, which one in particular? Because we was on that for hours, Maji.
One of the guys. So I'm repeating other people's stuff. Somebody said something like, well, that's Ahlazar having bad knees from swooning from a KO from Mike Brown or something like that.
Yeah, that might have came out somewhere.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Something like that.
That might have came out from somebody.
I don't know. I mean,
but yeah, Ahlazar KO'd himself, right? Like, so this was like, so Yap Gang, like I was on Yap Gang's channel reviewing the debate and whatnot. And Yap Gang focuses on DNA more than anything, right? DNA and material culture, right? And so Ahlazar brings up the argument and says that, okay, he excludes the Ashkenazis and says that they can't be the Israelites because they should only have one haplogroup, and then breaks down the fact that they got different haplogroups, etc., and therefore they can't be them. Okay, if you apply that to yourself in a non-special pleading format, You've just provide like, so the group that you're representing, right? You're saying blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's a bigger pool of haplogroups than what Ashkenazis have, right? So you're dead in the water. Not only that, you've already shown your DNA and you're R1. The majority of people you're talking to are not R1 that you're saying are Israelites. So like when you're saying like, oh, if you're this haplogroup, 92% can't be Jews amongst Israelites. If you're this haplogroup, 80% can't be Jews. If you apply that to Black, Spanish, Native Americans, how many people are R1, Ahlazar? How many people you're talking? Is your brother R1, my G?
Yeah, you're talking about you. Some people may not know what you're talking about there with the R. But I mean, you guys know what you're talking about. So yeah, look, Yap Gang does focus a lot, everybody, on DNA elements, and so they have a more nuanced, sophisticated, complex, informed understanding on the DNA issues than most people involved, especially on a non-professional level. But what's interesting about these discussions we're having, a lot of professionals aren't, in my understanding, even directly involved with what we're talking about. Now, there's ancillary studies we can make use of in these discussions. But if you talk about like some of the specifics, you got to aggregate sources, and Yap Gang does a pretty good job at that. I know not everyone at Yap Gang likes me, and that's okay. I like watching their stuff when I can, and it's only somewhat recent I've been informed, and then I got a couple questions from some of the guys, whatever, and then Abu tells me what's going on over there, and I do appreciate it. And I think the other guy up here might be from Yap Gang, so let me bring him on and see if he is, because we might, but I'm not sure. I can't tell just by the thing. Let me see, is this one of the other gentlemen from Yap Gang here? I got you turned up.
Yawn. Orthodox Moor got grace.
Hebrew of Israel, are you? Can you come? Let me make sure you get in here. But what else?
That's Hebrew. That's definitely Hebrew. I got one last point I want to make.
Go ahead. I just brought him in, but go ahead.
Yeah, I got one last point I want to make on the material culture, right? Like, so with the way Alhazar was presenting his information and what he was denying in terms of what he was receiving, like he wasn't going to take language, he wasn't going to take DNA, etc. He wasn't going to accept all kind of stuff. What he left on the table was material culture, and Brown asked for that. Show me the material culture that you were able to preserve, right? And he said, I wasn't able to preserve nothing, right? But then he went back and said, okay, but I'm connecting you to Edomites who got the right DNA, the Hebrew DNA. I'm connecting you to them converting to Judaism, and I'm connecting you to their Semitic language and whatnot, right? At that juncture, you just said you got a whole bunch of material culture I don't have, and via the text, if you can't prove who's who with DNA or whatnot, now you're just talking about who got the religion, who has the state religion, etc., right? Who's practicing the Israelite tradition, with, right? So it becomes a material argument, material culture argument and whatnot. And he gave it to Brown. He said, "You have it, and I don't," because Brown, as a convert, is the only Israelite in the conversation at that juncture.
You said Brown, as a convert, is the only Israelite in the conversation?
If he's calling him a convert, he has to accept the fact that he would be the only one that's actually an Israelite via text at that juncture, a national. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. All right, appreciate that. I have Hebrew of Israel, but he says he's still in the green room. I don't know how to fix that, but I can hold you on if you want, Orthodox Moor. I'm trying to get Hebrew of Israel. But Adam Coleman, man, thanks for joining, bro. I hit you up before and told you we were doing this. I know you're busy, but what's going on, man? You were able to catch it?
Yeah, man. So there were some parts that I missed because I was like scrambling with my 5 kids and whatnot who were invading my office.
Hold on. Wait, let me fix that. You mean 5 kids and counting, right?
Oh, no.
I always tease Adam. Whenever I mail him something, I put Adam Coleman, 5 kids and counting.
Right, he's stupid, man. No, we ain't counting nothing, brother. We done. You know what I mean? But nah, man. So I just hop on here for a couple minutes, man. But I was able to catch a good portion of it. I'm about to go back and check out the rest. But from what I saw, man, I definitely agree with pretty much everybody's assessment. Especially the last brother. And forgive me, brother, I can't remember what your screen name was. But I like the analogy.
Orthodox Moor. That was Orthodox Moor. He's a real well-rounded, balanced guy. Yeah, Orthodox Moor.
Cool. Yeah, shout out to him. Yeah, I really like the analogy of being like a street baller of Ahlazar being like that street baller, breaking some ankles, but then like blowing the layup or missing the J. You know what I mean? And I think that's pretty accurate or fitting, I guess I could say. Given that Props to Ahlazar. I think he presented well. Definitely was poised, composure was on point. So I try to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, by the way. And even with etiquette, there's a couple of minor breaches, but someone could make the argument that Dr. Brown made a couple minor breaches as well. So I feel like, in my view, it was relatively even killed there. And look, audience, no matter what you think about this, we should at least see the monumentous occasion of two people of significance on these issues able to have a pretty respectful, even debate. So I was just glad to be a part of it. But go ahead, man. I'm not trying to take the thunder, but I'm just second.
Again, props to both sides on that. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I think a lot of people, from an apologist standpoint, like we don't have to, be disrespectful or just be nothing but negative about the other side. Like you can give credit where credit is due. If somebody's being respectful and cordial and interacting, okay, cool. That's a good thing. We can acknowledge that. And I think that, Ahlazar was able to do that.
Yep.
You can see that he put some work in to present his side. Mm-hmm. So that's
one of my favorite parts, by the way, was where he quoted Dr. Brown's commentary, because I was like, "Hey, I got that on the shelf." Okay, Ahlazar. I was glad. That's one of my favorite parts when I almost wanted to interrupt and say, Dr. Brown gave me that commentary when I first met him as a complimentary gift for an event I threw that he was part of before we really knew each other. Yeah, out here. But I was like, I can't say nothing. I can't name drop. I can't
stay in that mode. Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mode, props for things like that. But then at the same time, I think it's just like battle rap. You know what I mean? There's levels. You know what I mean? Yeah. You might have a guy who's got really good stage presence, but after a while, the pen game is going to show up. You're going to know who has the nicer pen. You know what I mean? And so I think it's kind of like that with Dr. Brown. Like he definitely was able to show some ring generalship, particularly when it comes to, debate etiquette, when I think it was K-Dub brought it up. Like, you can't add in new information, you know what I'm saying? Like in your closing and things like that. You can do that when you're on 125th, debating as Brother Polite. You know what I mean? But when you're talking about a formal debate, there's a reason why it's organized a certain way. And I think Ahlazar wasn't aware of those things. But
let me say, Ahlazar was truthful, just so everyone knows. Ahlazar was not sent anything as far as rules saying you cannot bring up new information at closing statements. That is true. That's correct. So I second that.
So if you're not accustomed to it, you don't know.
I did say in the debate, but when I announced that they were going to do their closing statements or some other part, I thought it was right there during that part. But I know I said it during the debate because I made a point to say it. You're not supposed to bring up new information in the closing statement. It may have been when I was running down the format in the beginning, or it may have been right before. One of those two spots, I know that I said it. Now, may not have heard. And also, people do breach the etiquette sometimes, right? We do know that as well. But again, that's a minor thing. There's a couple things, if I was having a good, nice private conversation with Dr. Brown, I might say, hey, here's something I would do different next time, or they may use this against you. So I could kind of see that going both ways. But
I think, and to your point, I mean, those things aren't necessarily deal breakers. I mean, I think that they show differences in terms of people who are accustomed to being in that ring and those who aren't, and that's fair. I think from a substance standpoint, I mean, obviously, if you're just going content for content, which I think ultimately is the best test of who wins a debate. I mean, it's like, the content being presented. Then I think that Dr. Brown really outclassed, Guerrilla Hebrew on that level, from, the parts that I've seen, to also, definitely during the Q&A as well. To me, it was a pretty, like when he started getting into the Hebrew about, the thing about readiness and being applied to Solomon and David and so forth. And then, he went to the text, you know what I mean? And then Guerrilla Hebrew was like, well, I disagree. It's like, what do you mean you disagree? Like, what does the text say though? Like, what do you mean that you disagree? Like, I felt like at the moment I could see how maybe he felt he was under the gun and didn't have a ready-made answer. That's fine. I think it would have been better for him to say, well, I'll go take a look at that. That would have been a better move for him. But then also, for me, I like when debaters go into the teeth of the other team's defense. I like it when an objection is presented and, a debater's like doesn't run away from it, but goes in there. So like when Guerrilla Hebrew says, go to the text in Deuteronomy 28, show me the curses. And then, Dr. Brown's like, all right, cool, let's go line by line. And he starts going line by line. Like, to me, that scores major in terms of winning that engagement. He's like, and you can say, oh, well, yeah, but I said, you can move the goalposts like Vader said, but like, nah, like he's going verse by verse on you, my dude. And that to me demonstrates like somebody who has a confidence in their position and competence, such that they're able to go there on the fly. So, I mean, it was stuff like that for me that I think that in terms of the substance of the debate, without question, I think Dr. Brown, I mean, he did his thing. Much respect to Ahlazar for showing up and putting on the gloves and doing his part. Definitely think that more conversations like this need to be the case. Just like when we went out to Phoenix and we were dealing with Captain Taz and them. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a fisticuffs type. San Diego. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It was,
I know the difference because it's about 30 degrees cooler there.
Right.
Not now, but in the summer. But real quick,
but it was a good build. It was a cordial build. You know what I mean? And so I think we need to see more of that, man.
Look who showed up. The man who gave me the compliment, Gaza the Zealot. Was that you, Gaza, who earlier told me appreciate your moderation skills yesterday, devil? He says the cognitive dissonance is thick in here. Honestly, Gaza, for real, have we not been incredibly even-handed? It's obvious where we're going to lie as far as what side or position where we're going to line up with. I mean, we're Christians, we're apologists, it's obvious, okay? I'm talking about us right here on the panel. Other people are coming in. I still don't know why I can't hear the Hebrew of Israel. I got you in, but you're muted. You've muted yourself. Yeah, okay. I'll get to you next. I see you're good now. Okay, good.
Can I just piggyback off of what Adam just said? Because I think that, between the two, I think Dr. Brown did a better job as well of assimilating the information to his presentation. So Alhazar would say something and he would directly assimilate that into his next comments or rebuttals, whereas Alhazar would just typically go back, just restate, re-say in different words what he said previously. He didn't really assimilate or interact with the new information, which would have to be off the top of your head, right? You don't know what your opponent's about to say, but I think that Dr. Brown did a better job of that.
Well, that, and I think also in terms of the core case being made, and I don't want to just regurgitate what other people said, but I agree with, I think it was K-Dub's assessment that you didn't really hear a sound, consistent, positive case from Guerrilla Hebrew supporting his side of the debate. I'm saying, like, he did not present a positive case legitimizing, from what I saw. I'll go back and watch it and make sure I didn't miss any other pieces, but he didn't present a positive case, a sound, consistent, positive case for the legitimacy of the 12 tribes chart, and he did not respond well to particular critiques, such as not being able to identify specific tribes. Dr. Brown brought that. I don't think he defended that well. And so to me, at the end of the day, if I'm going to assess a debate, it's not going to be about what makes me feel good, who I like, which person represents my side. Like, those things are irrelevant. I've seen plenty of Christian debates, Christian versus atheist, Christian versus whoever. I've seen plenty of them where I'm like, man, hey, I'm a Christian, but that Christian took an L. I've told people that. You know what I mean? I've told people who've been involved in those kind of debates that, like, yo, man, that wasn't it. I mean, so I have no problem with being, calling a spade, but and I think that we have to have that kind of objectivity. Did whichever side make their case? That's the most important question from a substance standpoint, and then everything else kind of revolves around that.
Yeah, I feel like we could be pretty, relatively speaking, objective or balanced or fair and all of that. I see the Hebrew Israelite reviews, if you want to call them that, or comments. I'm hoping that when Sicarii does theirs, I think they might be live now or sometime today, that there's some of that nuance or subtlety there. I don't know. It's sort of a change of pace if that was the case, I think. But to the Hebrew Israelites watching, do you see you can do it like this? You can give compliments. There's a way to do it. I'm not saying this is a perfect example, but, trying to be balanced and fair and honest and objective. These reviews that are just, so-and-so is slaughtered or Dr. Brown was geriatric and all that. It's like, you're not doing anything. You're not accomplishing anything with those kind of silly things. And if that's all you got, it just shows a lack of substance. So this debate should be a call to you. If you say, I'm a Hebrew Israelite and this is what I'm doing, step up your game and your substance, with what you're really saying. I mean, I am going to play this clip right now, okay? And then I'm going to get into to my man Hebrew of Israel. Let me play this clip. This man really said what I'm about to play, okay? Everyone listen to this. This man said Dr. Brown, he couldn't convince him because he didn't have a beard. He lost the debate because he didn't have a beard. Now, I think it'd be great if Dr. Brown had a beard. You know what I mean? But he doesn't. But that doesn't mean he lost the debate. But listen to this clip. This guy, all right, let me rewind it here and make sure everyone can hear it, okay? Here we go. Why isn't it playing? Nobody can hear this? It's not playing, is it? Hold on. Why? And I'm covering them up, too. Okay, let's play this. Come on now. Come on, computer. Come on now. I'm getting the balloon here, the red circle of death, where it's like.
I'm white, I'm right theory. I got a PhD, so my word is fact. You feel me? I went to college, so I know what I'm talking about. No, you don't, Mr. Brown. You really made yourself look like a clown. You ain't even got no beard, man. A man with a beard, with no beard, can't teach me nothing, man. He lost when I seen he didn't have no beard.
Hey, come on,
man. But yeah, that's a sin.
He lost when I seen he didn't have no beard.
No beard, boy. I got a beard. I'm good, right?
Yeah, his truth is dependent on the status of your hair follicles.
Didn't he know before the debate Dr. Brown didn't have a beard,
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Anyways, all right, let's get into Hebrew of Israel. What do you think, man? I'm sorry you've been on hold so long, bro. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I just got to say, as someone who believes that, their ancestors could have been part of the Israelite population, I got to admit, Dr. Brown won that debate. 100% Dr. Brown won. And Guerrilla Hebrew, that was a slaughter. That was a really, really bad and poor presentation. In terms of trying to prove, the 12 tribes chart and trying to disprove Ashkenazi Jews, which they are Israelites, they are Jewish.
You believe Ashkenazi Jews are Israelites?
Yeah, 100%. Ashkenazi, Sephardi, Mizrahi, they're all descendants of Israel. They're all Jewish.
And you're a Hebrew Israelite as well, correct?
I wouldn't classify myself as a Hebrew Israelite. I would just say that I believe my ancestors was part of the Proto-Israelite population.
Your ancestors were part of the Proto-Israelite population.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, you guys do have some very interesting videos where I think people can learn a lot about the genetics and the DNA. So I appreciate that you guys do that. But let me elaborate. Take a minute or two, if you can, on why you said what you said in regards to how the debate went. It'll be great some other time probably to talk about some of those other perspectives. But could you elaborate a little bit inside? I'm going to step away for a second, so the floor is yours because I got to grab something over here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so one thing that was interesting to me that, stood out was the fact that I think his name is Ahlazar, right? Guerrilla Hebrew?
Yep.
Okay. So
Yes,
Ahlazar said that that he tried to disprove the Ashkenazi Jews as not being Israelites because they have multiple haplogroups. He brings out haplogroup R1A, R1B, Q1B, J1, J2, E1B1B, stuff like that. And he says that, when it comes to Jacob, he has to have one haplogroup because if y'all don't know, a haplogroup is basically a Y chromosome passed down from father to son. It's an unbroken line. And he tries to say that since the Ashkenazi Jews have multiple haplogroups, then none of them can descend from Jacob. But little does he know that when it comes to the 12 tribes chart, all the people on there would have multiple haplogroups too. Like the Native Americans, they would typically carry haplogroup Q. African Americans, about 60% of them carry E1B1A. Hispanics, a lot of them descend from Spaniards or Spanish people from Europe, and they'll carry R1B. So it's like the same argument you tried to make to disprove the Ashkenazi Jews, you can literally make to disprove the 12 tribes chart. So it's like, why are you...
And then later on, he said that he didn't even believe that genetics had any type of role or you couldn't use it as any type of indicators for that. So
I think if I was going to try to, let's say Gorilla Hebrew was here and he heard that part, I think he would probably say, at least some of the last things, he might say, well, so I don't trust genetics that far back, but you guys say you do, and the person I'm quoting says they do, and here's what they say that would discount your position. I think he might say something like that. What do you think? Orthodox more or Hebrew of Israel, Ivri? It seems like he might say something like that, to be fair to his position.
All right, so he can try to say that, but you can't really like debunk DNA. That's part of you. It's like literally what you are. So it'll be kind of.
Isn't his position that you can, from what I've heard, his position is along the lines of, and I'm going to put this very practical, on a Mari Povich level, you can trust it. You are the father. You are not the father. However, on an Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob level, you can't trust it. I think that's what his position would be. This is in my words. What would you say to that?
Real quick, break down the length of time the autosomal goes back and the length of time that the haplogroups go back. That's what.
Hey, my bad to jump in. Hey, I got to run, guys. I just want to say peace.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Hey, what do you got going on your channel? True ID. Everyone subscribe to True ID Apologetics. What do you got going on besides hanging out with superstars?
Hey, man, I'm about to get another friend of Gorilla Hebrew. You know what? Actually, I'm not even going to go there. I'm about to go see the Craig concert right now, so that's next on the agenda. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, you know what I mean?
All right.
They got some interviews coming up. Check out the channel, True ID Apologetics. Got some articles and whatnot for the Substack.
All right.
Love y'all, man. Y'all take
God
it easy.
bless.
Hey, real quick, Adam, can I get at you for an interview on your portion of Vocab's last book on
I'm sorry. I had already dropped him off because we had another call in, and I can only handle a certain amount at once. I apologize, bro. I just kicked out Adam to make room for this other call. I'm sorry, bro. I can hit him up or give you his basic information because I would actually love to have a conversation. I think I'm going to bring you up in a second, Nazareth. I think he would say, or Nazareth. I think he would. So I don't know the answer to that question of what you just said. I was just trying to steel man what I understand his position to be.
Yeah, you have him right. You have him 100% right.
But I don't know the answer. Could you ask that question again and explain why it's relevant? And I don't know the answer. At that point, I stopped representing him. I don't know. Could you say that again, though? I thought it was relevant what you were saying.
Ibra, you there?
Explaining the Y DNA and autosomal DNA?
Well, briefly as you can, explaining why that question he said was relevant and why maybe you would make a case the other way. And it's going to get a little technical, but then we'll move on if we could. But go ahead.
Yeah, so when it comes to Y DNA, that goes all the way back basically to what is called scientific Adam, the very first man that would have produced all the different haplogroups that we all descend from today. So that goes back thousands of years to the very first man. Whereas autosomal DNA only goes back a few generations. So if Gorilla Hebrew were to try to say, well, DNA can only go back so far, I would say, well, you're talking about autosomal DNA, which is basically admixture of all your various ancestors, but recently within at least 8 to 10 generations, which is about 200 to 400 years. But Y DNA goes back thousands of years, so that's what makes it different. And in Y DNA haplogroups, it's a sex-determining chromosome. So, like I said, men carry a X and Y chromosome, so they carry their father's Y haplogroup, and they carry their mother's MT haplogroup. Whereas women only have the X chromosome, so women are only going to pass down their mother. It's going to be like basically from mother to daughter, and it's easier to explain if you can see it. But
I appreciate that. You know what's interesting about what you just said, Ivri? There's a presuppositional challenge, I think, to that. If I understand One West anthropology on that issue properly, it's this. They believe that Adam would be a proto-Israelite, and so Israelites are Adamites, whereas other non-Israelite peoples are actually not Adamites. And this is an old One West breakdown, and usually they defend it by saying that the trees in the garden represent other people, perhaps other nations. And so Adam has this line, but I think they don't even think all people descend from Adam. And I'm going to be frank, in regards to the One Westers, much like some of the white supremacists of old who tried to come up with non-Adamic origins for other peoples. And so I don't know if you guys have ever got into that, but I think that might be going on in the background partially with some of these guys.
So you're talking about pre-Adamites then?
No, non-Adamites. They are not descended from Adam. They are descended from other peoples, almost like other Adams and Eves. You see?
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
I think some of them believe that. I think they may believe. Last I knew, that's what they believed. We'd have to get deeper with that. But let me jump on to Nazareth, if that's okay. Hey, you guys do things different over there, but I still want to give you your love and your shout out. Can you tell people how to find your guys' content? And when you guys click on, they do have a different perspective and all that, but you'll still learn. In fact, Dr. Brown said, excuse the language type of thing, but he said you guys did have some insightful points in your review. He listened to some of it, and he hit me up about it. So, but go ahead. Could you guys give a shout out to where to find your stuff, and then move on to the next guest, if that's okay?
Well, you can find me with the same name as y'all can see, the Hebrew of Israel. That's the name of my YouTube channel. And then there's Genesis 49ers, spelled, exactly that way, Genesis 49ers. And then there's the Yap Gang YouTube channel. Just type in, I believe is it called Yap Gang Scholarship? I forgot the name.
I think that's it, yeah.
Yeah, Yap Gang Scholarship, I believe it's called.
No doubt.
Let me see. There's the
Yes, sir, Yap
Orthodox
Gang.
more. Say again more. I didn't quite.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a Yap Gang Scholarship.
Yap Gang Scholarship. Got it. And then there's your channel as well, the Orthodox More. I think it's under the same name. Yeah.
No doubt.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to knock you all off to make rooms for some other people, if that's okay.
Appreciate it.
All right,
yeah.
God bless.
Thanks
You guys
for
have
having me.
Yes, sir. Have a beautiful day. Great Friday. Nazareth, I'm going to bring you up here in your volume. Talk to me.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Waka waka waka. The love of Yasharala. I'm sorry.
You're a little quiet. I'm doing my best. You are a little quiet, though. Hello? Nazareth?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. It's just you don't have a lot of volume.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead. What? I heard you sound like you were dropping
is this
some.
better?
Yeah. What do you got, man? Is this Judah?
No. Quick statement. I just want to make. I have a question for the so-called Hebrew Israelites. I noticed a lot of the attention from GRLA Hebrew was on. Do you match? He was asking Dr. Brown. Do you match? What about Ashkenazis match the curses of Deuteronomy? So here's my question, and maybe you can help me out here, Vocab. How long do they argue their ancestors were in Africa before they were taken into slavery? Do you know how long they believe they were in Africa before they were taken in ships?
If you follow from Babylon to Timbuktu chronology, I think that's going to put you at having people filter in to the continent 70, 135, and so there until the 1440s or 1600s, depending on your situation, 1800s, something like that. But he did something where he did some math regarding that, but I think he was trying to make a different point, so I'm not sure about that.
Well, so my point is, for those over 1,000 years, when they didn't match his ancestors, according to their theory, their Israelite ancestors were not slaves, did not have yokes around their necks, were not taken forcibly to the Americas. Were they not Israelites until they were taken in other words, were their ancestors fake Israelites until the transatlantic slave trade turned them into real Israelites? Like, if matching the curses of Deuteronomy 28 makes you an Israelite, then what were their ancestors before they were slaves?
Right.
Not Israelites?
And an interesting question, I guess, regarding
because they weren't
the epistemology of the issue.
Yeah, they weren't slaves for a long time. Yeah, their ancestors were not slaves for a long time before the transatlantic slave trade. They had regular lives, and wherever they were exiled. So if Ashkenazim don't match the prophecies, and that makes them not Israelites, then their ancestors weren't Israelites either until they were captured and put on ships. The whole thing makes no sense. And I think even though it's kind of hilarious, the little clips from the Hebrew Israelites that you played about the beard, and it's typical of the Hebrew Israelites. Like they really are poor at logic, and they really are. It seems in some sense like imbalanced. It's kind of heartbreaking because if you can watch that debate last night and think that Glorilla made more sense or that he won. I don't even know what to say at this point.
It may be a case with some sort of a what we might call style over substance, maybe, but also I think it might also be just the fact that it happened in a way I think some people will just perceive as a win. You know, like for example, what is it? Logan Paul got in the ring with Floyd Mayweather. It's almost like just the fact that he was able to set that up and do it, and then not be immediately KO'd or something. Even though he's not really a knockout artist, you understand what I'm saying? Maybe it was that kind of thing. I think with some of the guys, So I think their perspective would be very different. And I'm just trying to speak for them in a way.
Yeah, well. Thank you for your work. It was a good debate, but it was a completely lopsided, one-sided debate. The only kinds of people who thought Gorilla won are the kinds of people who make beard arguments. It was a clear one-sided victory. Dr. Brown demolished, and it was really kind of pathetic. It was kind of sad to watch. But thanks for your work, man. I'm not going to hold you anymore. God bless.
I appreciate that, man. Shout out. Once the brother came on the phone and stuff, now I think I know who it was. So someone's probably going to watch that and be like, oh, he knows who that is. I didn't at first, and then I did. But that's that. Okay, Pastor Tanks, you're up. Thanks for your patience. It's good to see you. How you doing? Let's hear what you have to say. Let me make sure I got your volume up, brother. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the floor is yours, sir.
Got you. You guys can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But no, I appreciate you for bringing me on. Yeah, man, I was really excited for this debate. I got to watch it back. I had to watch the replay back last night. And, yeah, I mean, I obviously as a Christian, but I think in an unbiased way, I definitely feel like Dr. Michael Brown definitely won the debate. I remember going back and forth with some of my brothers, like, listen, Dr. Michael Brown got to win this debate. If he don't win this debate, I'm Israel. And so, but we, the thing that I was noticing in the comments when people were talking, and I hope I'm not too choppy. I'm in my car, so maybe going.
You could be a little louder. You're not choppy, but your volume's a little low. But go ahead, we're listening. We can hear you though.
Okay,
go ahead.
Got you. Yeah. So one of the things that one of the things that I noticed when we were just from the chats is people were saying things like, where's the sources? And they were trying to pretty much banking on like, well, he has these sources and Dr. Michael Brown doesn't have these sources. And one of the things that I was kind of just frustrated with is, just because but Gorilla Hebrew didn't know how to interact with his sources. And I think people don't understand the difference between quoting something and properly interacting with a quote or with the source. And I think Dr. Michael Brown pulled that out to the point when, I don't remember the name, but when Dr. Michael Brown rebuttal Gorilla Hebrew didn't even know he was rebuttaling his source because Gorilla Hebrew did not actually engage with that source in any meaningful way to actually understand what in the argument, and then just being able to continue to say this is one of your PhD peer review articles is like, well, just because something is peer review doesn't mean that it's accurate. Did you go and actually read the peer reviews? Did you read what people said about this article, which Dr. Michael Brown was bringing out? No, his arguments were utterly refuted when his documentation was reviewed. And I think a lot of people when they don't understand how the academic work goes and scholarly research works, anybody can just say, well, this scholar said this. Well, I can write a peer-reviewed article right now, right, as a PhD student. It don't mean I'm right. It just means I wrote an article. Community say about how I engage with the conversation. And that was one of the things that I thought was just a little annoying. And I did say, I was like, oh, people gonna try to say because he brought out, this scholar from this school said this. And it's no different than if we bring a Hebrew Israelite, the brother that was just on, who wouldn't necessarily identify himself as a Hebrew Israelite, but he would identify himself as Israel. It would be like me saying, well, he's own person said this, therefore I win the debate. Like, no, that's not how academics work. Everybody's always entering the conversation and saying things. It's what is the larger community saying when they engage with that scholarly work. And so that was one of the things that I did feel like people would say because he had some quotes in there. And then obviously he had some some just ridiculous ones that were just regular website articles. But overall, though, I did think that Gorilla Hebrew handled in a much better way than we're typically used to seeing him handle himself. I did think that he did come prepared and ready, and I thought that that was to his credit. But like everybody else said, I was waiting on the rebuttal rounds, and that was what said it all to me. When I wanted to hear how he would actually engage with what Dr. Michael Brown was saying and the rebuttals that Dr. Michael Brown would make. And when he would just say, "I disagree, I don't want to comment," that was kind of telling to me. Now, one quick question, and then I'll be done. I didn't understand what Dr. Michael Brown was saying when he made the statement around, because Gorilla Hebrew was taking Ezekiel 36 and he was talking about, and then he did the math, and there's 430 years. And Dr. Michael Brown was saying he's reading that wrong, that it's not 430 years, it would have been a day for every year that the Israelites, 40 for Judah, and then, the 400 for the northern king. He was saying that it would have been more 430 days. Was that what Dr. Michael Brown was trying to rebut there?
I don't know, Don. Dinu, can you help out? Because I don't know the answer to that.
So he corrected Alhazar's rendition of that verse. I don't remember what verse it was, but he said that it's not 430 years, it's 43 days until something. I don't remember the rest of the verse, but it wasn't 430 years. It was 43 days, and then 430 years something would happen. And so that's why he was saying it's a day per each year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what I thought. And Gorilla Hebrew he didn't say, I wanted to see, like, would he say something back? Because a huge part of his argument was based on being able to prove 430 years the point. So I thought he would at least be like, no, you're wrong on that. And I thought it would get into some kind of exegetical dialogue, but it didn't. And I was a little bit disappointing to what the point that Veda was making, that we didn't get any of that getting into the text piece.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. I got to go back and hear some of this, because some of this I'm kind of remembering, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I missed that part. There's a lot going on. But I appreciate you, Pastor Tanks. And is that a smiley face on your shirt? Or is that a...
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's Nike.
Oh, that's Nike?
Oh, it's a Nike shirt. Yeah, it's just a smiley face on it.
Okay. All right, man. We'll catch you. Thanks for joining in. Be blessed and keep on contributing to the conversation. All right. Shalom. All right. We got Nazareth is back in the building. What you got?
Yeah, related to that last question, and I can't think of the exact passage where the prophet laid on his side for every day of Israel's sins, or to represent the years of sins. What Dr. Brown his point was that though that didn't represent a prophecy of future captivity, it was basically a memorial, in a sense, a reenactment through the prophet of Israel's past rebellion. So that for every year he was to lay on his side for one day, for every year of their rebellion, if I understand correctly. So instead of it being a prophecy looking forward, but it was more of a reenactment looking back. He was embodying almost the personification of Israel, and afflicting himself for every year of their affliction. He afflicted himself for a day by laying on his side, in essence.
Okay, that sounds right. All right, thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Oh, that was quick. He was in and out. Boom. That's all right. Well, he made room for Dunamis. What's up, Dunamis? Hey, Dunamis, real quick, man.
What's going on? Hey.
I was just wondering if you could give me moderator control, please.
Man, look, we had a struggle to get him to do slow mode. All right, that took like an hour. He was scared to touch stuff. Yeah, he was scared to touch stuff. He didn't want to stop the debate, so that's what happened.
I even tagged you, Dunamis, but you weren't in the live chat. I'm like, this is not gonna be read for him.
I was driving, so that's where I couldn't. Yeah.
But
that's what happened.
I thought he knew how to give moderator controls, though.
Yeah, he does, but then sometimes he'll forget, and then
What button do I hit? I'm trying to play with these buttons, but I'm worried I'm gonna make it close down.
Don't touch anything. We got it. Yeah.
Well, either way, I'm glad he did it. You know, it was the right channel to be on and stuff, and you know, I love the brother. I didn't want to stay a moderator forever, but I felt like I needed him during that. It would have been really good if I had some StreamYard ability to put comments on the screen, because there's a little bit of a dissonance, but we got through it. 4,000 is a lot to handle for any channel, but you know, you guys helped him hold it down overall.
Yeah.
So what you got, man? Let's give you a review. I think you came on immediately after and started talking, but let's get this Dunamis review, because you're like fresh out the gate type review guy. Apparently, you got the hottest hot take.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying, I hope this leads to further discussions, further debates. It doesn't just feel like James White and Recall.
Mm-hmm.
After the debate, person ran to the echo chambers, and no one really continued those conversations, or I was wrong, my Hebrew was wrong, things of that nature. So that's what I'm hoping for. I think starting out, Guerrilla Hebrew had a good presentation.
Mm-hmm.
It was coherent, but then as we kind of go forward, Dr. Brown just started cutting. It was razors, and it was subtle, to where you had to like, that goes against the argument. And then more and more felt like, go ahead.
The spontaneous sections were not as strong for Ahlazar. The pre-written or whatever, those parts were stronger for him.
Exactly, yeah. And then it felt like he had he would contradict himself trying to win the argument, but and holistically, the whole thing about the Levites, how he says he's a Levite from Haiti, and in the last days they won't teach. But you're teaching you're a Levite. So how does that go in line with the prophecy? Or even like with the law, with how Dr. Brown brought up that haymaker with, if your mother's an Edomite, how you a priest? Because Ezra kicked them out. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like there's things there that were being brought out that he was trying to win, but really he was hurting himself as it went forward.
Dr. Brown really said that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that was said.
No, I got to tell you guys, I was there and I was listening, but I was like focused on other stuff and listening to other stuff because I'm like keeping time and all that. I don't even remember that happening, bro.
I mean, there was a lot said. There was a lot said. I think that those parts, Dunamis, just really displayed Dr. Brown's, scholarship and him being well read, right? He's able to traverse in different lanes and approach things from different perspectives, whether it's his perspective or he quotes someone else that Alhazar was referring to. Whereas, obviously, I'll just say that Alhazar's perspective is not as wide.
Yeah. But it's hard though, because the law, what I'm saying? If we're just doing scripture, supposed to be doing scriptures, within the law itself, there's certain things that were presented that wasn't done right and exact. So how you, this is your culture and this is what you live by, but it's not going to full. It's just that contradiction.
Mm-hmm.
Berean Babes is up here. Berean Babes, and she, I can't find a comment now. I'm having deja vu from last night. Can't find the comment, but she said, "Where's my hat?" Listen, Berean Babes, after I get a haircut, I only got a few days before the werewolf returns, and so when that's happening, I gotta, let it shine, baby. Nah, but Dunamis, you're like a regular over there. Like you're almost like Berean number 2 or something. You know what I mean? It's like there's Brother Berean and then there's little Brother Berean or something. Even though you're like 6'7", but
Yeah, I'm the deacon. You got Paul and Timothy. Moses. I'm there at the mountainside, just trying to help things go along.
Are you sure you're not a lieutenant?
Well, do you know if I was? Why would I say I'm trying to expose me, sis?
Yeah.
I think just support the argument to show different sides. So a lot of stuff is going on. Trying to raise the bar for dialogue and debate, so we're not just stuck where we were 10 years ago. If we're making the same arguments from 10 years ago, and they've been debunked or they're not the strongest, then are we really involved as a people? You know what I'm saying? As believers as well.
Now, I see people talking about me being a mod over there. Just so y'all know, I had discussed with Brian being a mod on the channel prior, and I told him I don't gotta be a mod for the rest of my life, but just for this joint to work stuff out. When you have 4,000, you need more, and especially for the moderator of the debate. But I see some people were so offended I even asked, but it's like we had already talked about this, just so you know, in the live chat. We had already talked about it. You folks that are all upset and all that. And I mean, honestly, I had some mistakes too. When my mic was unmuted, my Doberman started barking, stuff like that. It's difficult, but it worked out. But honestly, people, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but how many of the debates have you seen on Hebrew Israelite channels with Hebrew Israelites moderating where they were that fair, open-minded, even-handed, balanced, all that kind of stuff? You may not want to follow me as Paul followed Christ. Oh, well, you guys don't even like doing that anyway with the Paul thing. But maybe you should follow me, some of you, and how I moderated. That's what I'm saying. Because even my man earlier, the Zealot guy, came in here and said, you did great on moderating, devil. So if he could say it, then you guys should take notes. That's all I'm saying. But go ahead. One more thing before we get to polymath. Well, I can keep you on until someone else comes on if you want to still stick around. But what else you got, man?
Yeah, man. It's just not with the debate, but it's just a lot of stuff that we've been discussing, like the 1,000 years and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I had a question for you.
You got a question for me?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
If the law is in effect on 1,000 years, right? And the law talks about the year of Jubilee, where captives are set free, right? Will there be a 1,000-year quote, enslavement of the Gentiles if the captives are set free after a certain year?
You talk about you got to let those Gentiles free every 50 years.
Yeah.
So what's funny is, no, I don't know the answer to that one, but I've been pushing. If you got, because they like to tell me they're going to beat me, and I said, okay, let's say you're beating me, right? This is presuppositional, right? So let's say you're beating me, right? And by the first time, it'd be the first time I ever got beat by a Hebrew Israelite. Just saying, because when it comes to debates. But for real, just making jokes here. In all seriousness, let's say I get beat by a Hebrew Israelite, he knocks out my tooth. According to the law, I'll ask him, what do you have to do? Man, they stem and stutter. And I have had different answers, and let me tell you about one of them, because I feel like maybe you get a similar answer. One guy said, if that happened, and I just did this debate, so it's on my channel, I would have to continue to beat you until you died. I said, bro, so you would violate the law to try to avoid keeping the law? Bro, he said if I knocked out your tooth, I'd have to beat you till you died, bro. Because that way I wouldn't have to let you go. I was like, well, then I don't have to work for you anymore, so I'm cool. And then I asked another one. I said, what's going to happen? And I kid you not, GMS said this in response. In the kingdom, we're going to have spiritual powers. One of the spiritual powers is called divine dentistry. And we're going to be able to heal that tooth and put it back in and then make them forget what happened. And another Edomite might say, hey, he beat him. His tooth was knocked out. He should let go. And he won't even remember it happened. You may think I'm joking. Tahar specifically laid out that scenario in a live stream in response to that question. Everything I said, literally, he used the phrase divine dentistry. He specifically said, we'll make them forget.
You're just making stuff up. You're just making stuff up.
Hey, I'm about to start calling Tahar like dentist Tahar or something, He's over here putting Edomites' teeth back in their head. So you don't have to let them go, bro. And then he's men in blacking them so they don't remember what happened, bro. Anyways, what's up, Polymath? What you got, man? Let's get into the review. You're one of the last people. We're going to jump off here in a little bit. Go ahead.
All right. No problem. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You could be a little louder, but I got you. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm at work and I'm about to get off. But I just want to say I really appreciate you for actually hosting the debate and being the moderator. You actually did a great job. I don't necessarily agree with everything that you say, but I do watch your channel from time to time, and I really appreciate what you did during the debate. So I will go back because there was a guy before this person that's on right now, the guy that's on right now, that was asking about Ezekiel 4. That was basically what he was asking about, because Ahlazar asked Dr. Brown about Ezekiel 4, and when did Jewish people go into a full 130 years, uh, basically, I guess, captivity due to Ezekiel 4. And a lot of people are telling, Dr. Brown basically said that it wasn't a prophecy and it was actually a retelling of Israel's sin. But what people fail to understand is that Ezekiel 4, verse 1 to 4 is a prophecy about a siege taking place with Israel. And if you continue reading down, everything in the chapter is prophetic, because the whole context of the chapter actually starts in Ezekiel 3, verse 16. And the context goes from Ezekiel 3, verse 16, all the way to Ezekiel chapter 5, verse 16. Everything in that chapter is prophetic. So that's where I feel like Alhazar actually got Dr. Brown, because if you actually read the context from the beginning of the context all the way to the end of the context, which is Ezekiel chapter 5, verse 16, it's all prophetic about the future of Israel. But I don't feel like Dr. Brown answered that question. I think he basically skipped over that question and didn't prove it from my perspective. But I also feel like Dr. Brown, um, not being biased, actually like paying attention to the debate. Dr. Brown did get Alhazar on some questions when Alhazar was refusing to answer the questions. And I'm an Israelite myself, but I also feel like he he should have answered some questions instead of saying, "Oh, I don't want to answer at this moment." That that made it look bad on his side. But I would say this last thing before I get off is that I see a lot of Israelites will come on the channel or any other channel and will critique the chart, right? And say the chart is basically bogus and it makes no sense. But they never ever provide their own chart, right? And what I appreciate about the chart is that the chart actually make you go and research about your culture. I'll give an example. I didn't know anything about my culture being an Israelite culture until I actually saw the chart, and it actually made me. I'm from West Africa. I'm Liberian. My tribe is the Pele tribe, right? And I didn't know anything about that until I actually went to go research my tribe, and I started to see us practicing Israelite traditions, like same traditions that you see in the law. Like my tribe still practice it. Our babies are actually circumcised on the 8th day. Like it's part of the tradition for it to happen. Um, Also, a couple months ago, I'll give one example. A couple months ago, in the law, when your brother, basically when your brother marries a woman, and there's no seed to pass on, the lady is supposed to marry you so she can so your brother can basically pass on the seed. That's according to the law. A couple months ago, that same situation happened with my dad, right? My dad brother marries a woman, um, and basically my dad brother passed away due to the war. My dad brother passed away, and my dad was supposed to, or one of his brothers was supposed to go marry the woman, because the woman said, according to our tradition, I have to marry somebody from your family, and I can't just go out to another tribe to marry another person. My dad refused to do it because he said, well, that's old tradition. We're in the modern times now. We can't do that anymore. I'll marry whoever I want to marry. But according to the tradition, one of his brothers are supposed to marry that woman, and that's part of our tribe tradition. And to this day, we still keep that law, but it's just because some of us are modernized, they don't want to do it. I wouldn't have known about that was an Israelite law, if I didn't see the chart and I started to research about my family, my tribe. So I just want to say that a lot of people are looking at the chart, and they're critiquing it. They're not providing anything to replace it, and I feel like that's wrong. And a lot of people are not actually looking at their culture or their African culture, or even their Latino culture, to actually see if there's any substance to what people are saying. But I just want to say thank you again, Vocab, for allowing me on your space. And thank you again for actually moderating the debate.
I
Can
I
I
appreciate
appreciate
it,
it.
just say
man.
something to you, Polymath, before you go? I'll put it in the live chat in just a moment, but um, there's a blog, and Vocab has written a few articles specifically on the 12 tribes chart. So if you are looking to interact with it and just to, find out and hear what people are saying about it, I encourage you to go ahead and I think there's 3 articles or maybe 3 or 4 articles there, but I'm gonna put the link in the live chat for you. So.
Thank you. I had to drop them off before you finished, but hopefully you heard because I had to make room for the next 2 people here. And so, Dunamis, if someone else jumps on, I may drop you if that's...
I'm gonna drop off.
Okay. I'm sorry, man. I don't know how I figured you wouldn't mind. You get all that screen time over there at Berean anyway.
Hey, don't drop him.
All right, man. God bless, bro.
Don't drop Dunamis. Don't drop Dunamis. I wanted to ask him a question.
Okay, ask that question, and then I'm going to drop you. Go ahead, Ash. Ask him your question. What you got?
It's multifaceted. I just wanted to get a little bit of the brother's logic. So
Hold on. Are you muted? Can you guys all hear him? Because it says you muted. I don't know if the audience can hear you.
You can hear him.
Okay, make sure you're not muted, but go ahead.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Okay,
I just wanted to get a couple pieces of the brother's logic, so hopefully he'd be able to answer. I won't hold him too long, but does it not make sense for the Israelites to not be keeping the commandments according to Ahlazar's stance, Brother Dunamis? You were making a point earlier about Dr. Brown's point on the Levites, for example, not keeping their customs in Haiti. It was a little bit before that other brother got on.
So the question is for them not to keep their Hebrew culture in Haiti?
Does it not make sense? For example, if the Levites or the Haitians, does it not make sense for them to not be keeping Levitical customs in Haiti?
So they would not keep because of slavery or what? Because at the same time after the revolt, they practiced voodoo and things of that nature that comes from West Africa. So you see they carried on traditions from West Africa to the island. So if they were practicing those traditions in West Africa, we should see those traditions pick up in Haiti.
They should pick up in Haiti. So, but
yeah,
he's saying we see. I think what he's saying is we see West African animism or mysticism and things like that pick up in Haiti, but we don't see Israelite practices. I think that's what he's saying. He's saying we see what's picked up, and it's not Israelite stuff. I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, like the Maroons and other places like Brazil. There are things that pick up.
Okay, I can walk with you there.
Well, hold on. I appreciate that, but I'm not. This is going to turn into a separate debate between him and you, and I'm not really trying to do that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I promise it's not a debate. I'm not.
No, but I want to hear people's opinion on the debate. I'm not trying to be. We're not trying to do interaction with you guys while we watch. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because I want to get the debate review. But go ahead, say something, and I'm gonna jump because I want to get this. I got another person in front of you. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it doesn't sound like people have a very well-rounded understanding of how the curses of Deuteronomy work. And I feel like that's where a lot of the opinions about Dr. Brown's point, I feel like that's why it looked like a W on that end. Because the whole purpose of the curses of Deuteronomy is because there's a not keeping of the commandments. So I was going to try to get to the point where we look at a scripture where it says that in the curses, under that umbrella of the curses, the Israelites would then start to keep the commandments. So I was kind of trying to connect that tissue with the brother Dunamis, but
let me say this before I jump off. But at the same time, when you have the Sephardic Jews when they kicked out of West Africa, when they kicked out of Portugal and Spain Inquisition, they carried on to traditions when they went to Jamaica and things, those places. So if they're carrying on their traditions, right, and you can see certain things with scrolls and synagogues, things of that nature, right? Unless you're saying that the Jews in West Africa, Israelites in West Africa come before a second temple, then why are we seeing these things being done in the place? You know what I'm saying? And with the curses, like we talked about before, they're tied to the land in the Levant, the land that God promised Abraham. So will those curses apply to those in a foreign land? And what's going on? Your inheritance.
Actually, is it cool if I answer him, vocab?
But he won't be able to answer you back. Much love to you, Dunamis. I like what you're saying, man. I like what you're saying, man. Just trying to be fair to everyone in here. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, Ash.
We'll say it another time, but Deuteronomy 30, starting at verse 1, I'm just going to read through it real quick. It implies that the Israelites would leave from their customs as well as their land and then be returned. So he asked the question about, what about the Sephardic Jews where they were put in exile, but they continued customs. There is a precedent for the Israelites leaving their customs, and it goes like this. And it shall come to pass when all these things come upon thee, the blessings and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all these nations, whether the Lord thy God hath driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy God. There's no return if there's not a leaving off from the Most High. I think we can all agree to that, but there are other prophecies that show that the Israelites would be off into other customs, like Ezekiel 20. I tried to get your opinion about that when I was calling them in my show, vocab. It says that, the Israelites would be thinking that they would be like the other nations, turning into idols of wood and stone. So when you deal with the voodoo practices, for example, like the brother Dunamis brought up, there's a precedent for them going off into these other worships and these other spiritualities, but then later on returning to the Most High. So I think there has to be a discussion going into reconciling prophecies down the line.
The problem is you're assuming they're Israelites, so you're assuming they left. Dunamis' point is we don't assume they're Israelites. The reason why they're practicing what they practice in Haiti is because it's like what they practice in West Africa already. So you're assuming the Israelites. You're saying it's not there because they forgot about it. We're saying they're not doing it because they're not Israelites. So you're assuming the thing that needs to be proven. I think that was revealed in your statement when you said how the curses work. That's the very nature of the discussion. You know what I'm saying? The very nature of this, it's not that we don't understand, it's we fundamentally disagree with the One West conception of curses and what that all means, especially in the New Covenant era. I think that's really what it is. But hold on, because I want to make sure Cyrus, he was actually before you, but I jumped out because I know you wanted to say something to Dunamis, so I leapfrogged you. Cyrus, what's up, man? What do you got? I don't have a picture, but let's see if you got audio. What do you got?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was watching the video and, according to the charts, if you add up the numbers, that's 400 million people, 400 million Israelites. The Bible says they'll be few in numbers. So I don't understand how the curses, apply to the charts.
Did you watch the debate, Cyrus?
Yeah, I watched some of it, but, it doesn't make sense. 400 million people isn't few
Yeah, I
in
got
numbers.
you. So Dr. Brown brought up that point.
Mm-hmm.
He brought up that point. Ash, do you remember when that point was brought up, and what would be your response to what Dr. Brown said to Guerrilla Hebrew, which Cyrus just brought up, which was there's a lot of people on this chart. It doesn't sound like one of the curses, which is few in number. I believe you have a response. I'll let you share that for Cyrus if you want.
I appreciate that. So if I may be allowed to finish the scripture, that's all I'm going to read. It says, this is Hosea chapter 1, and I'm going to read from verse 10 to about 11. It says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. So, yeah, there's a precedent for what he's saying, that the Israelites would be left few in number. But then we have prophecies that tell us that we need to hunker down, for example, and get ready for the long haul so that we don't be diminished. And the way that translates is that when you look at the eschatology that Hosea is revealing here, watch this. I'm just going to start from where I left off. And you shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the living God, the sons of the living God. Now watch this. Then shall the children of Israel and the children of Judah be gathered together and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. So we believe that there is a prophetic aspect of this that tells us that when we come up out of the land of our captivity, we will be under the rulership and guidance of our Messiah. And at that point, we'll be as the sand of the sea. There's other prophecy that says just because there's a whole bunch of us, there's going to be a remnant of us that are saved. So, none of what Dr. Brown brought up in the...
Just a second. Cyrus, you got something for that? I got to grab something real quick. Go ahead, Cyrus.
Yeah.
His guerrilla response was oh, the curses doesn't apply every day or today. It applied like a few years ago, 1,000 years ago. But when the Hebrew Israelites asked the Jews today, oh, what curses you guys have? They expect him to have a response. Oh, so it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense that, the
My
curses.
response, my response still coincides with what GRLA said because he responded two ways to that. He brought out that we would be as the sand of the sea in his rebuttals, but he did also say that all the curses don't apply all the time because there's a motion that all of these events have to run through. There's a course that has to go. So we would be left in number, few in number, but at another point we would have to multiply. So that would show you how practically all curses aren't working cohesively all of the time.
Exactly. So why can't that be applied to the Ashkenazi Jews and the Jews of today?
I
Same
would I,
logic.
would- I would look at magnitude. I would look at the way that they went back into the land. My rebuttal to that would be simply look at the words of Christ, Luke 21:24. He said that you're not going to be in your land. He said you're going to be led away captive to all nations, right? And then meanwhile, your land's going to be trampled down by the heathen until the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled. So, you got to look at things like that as well. We don't just fixate on curses. We look at other um, events that are taking place.
What do you think about this, Ash? Jamal brought up something. He said, so practicing the Talmud that has magic and based on Babylonian mysticism is not the same as voodoo. I think what Jamal's trying to say is, so by the argument regarding Haitians, if you have people who get into Talmudic or say especially like the Zohar, and they're getting into the mystical elements and gematria and all that kind of stuff, couldn't you say the same thing for the Jewish people of the day, or the argument you're making in regards to the voodoo stuff?
Maybe if you could pinpoint it to a little bit more, like I don't get what the question is and how it applies.
Just saying, like the same way you do this in regards to the Haitians about, oh, they forgot what they did and now they're going to practice this. You can make the same argument about a lot Jewish folks who get into the Zohar and practice mystical elements and magical elements. That's what he was saying there. Let's read some.
I wouldn't use the Talmud to argue against Ashkenazi Jews. For one, I think that would be a foolish stance.
Do you believe you're an Israelite and your ancestors are responsible for the Talmud?
I believe I'm an Israelite, yeah.
But do you believe your ancestors wrote the Talmud?
I believe that my ancestors might have some things that were put in the Talmud, but the Talmud's not all just one cohesive document. There are a bunch of entries from different.
I know, but so do you think the Talmud is a compilation of like?
I think it's a
fake Jews and real Jews.
Yeah.
So you think that? How do you know which ones would be which?
I think that you would have to look at the time period that it was put into the Talmud. I'm not a researcher of it, but I know that it's bullshit. Just based off the contradictions to Scripture. So, I'm not willing.
Yeah, but if it's your ancestors that are responsible for some of it, then you're saying.
No wonder we're in captivity. Like it's just something to put on the board and say if either party are Israelites, bad things did happen to the Ashkenazi. Like we're not going to be able to say that those things didn't happen. Bad things happen to my people too. So being a right judge is looking at a situation saying like whichever party is responsible is wrong for that. So I don't get the weight of that argument or why it would be important to ask that question.
Yeah, vocab. That I just came just to say that this doesn't make sense that the curses doesn't apply to them. You have excuses. Oh, well, it's not few in numbers because X, Y, and Z. But when you ask the same questions when they ask the questions to the Jews today, they can't make any excuses like that.
Right, Jamzi Shalom makes a point that being as sand of the sea is a blessing and not a curse. So now you got people arguing, well, we've inherited the blessings basically. So it does seem like from our perspective, cherry picking. Sometimes it's we inherit the blessings, other times we inherit the curses. And the thing is, what's interesting about that is the British Israelites did that. So what they did is said, it's obvious that the Brits are descendants of Israelites because of we are the people who can best be understood, as the inheritors or propagators of the blessings of Deuteronomy 28 in the beginning. And so they would point to the success of the British Empire and say, we fulfill the blessing of Deuteronomy 28 via the British Empire. You see what I'm saying? And of course, that was before what we know as Hebrew Israelism. But Dinu, did you have something you wanted to say? Because we are winding down. We need to end in a few minutes. So I'll let you say something and Ash say something unless someone else calls, and we're going to get out of here.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, what people in the live chat were saying, being few in number is part of the curses. You going to Hosea and, saying that they would become as many as many in number as the sand of the sea. That's not a curse. Right. So then how does that scripture prove that they're in captivity?
So it says, you shall come up out of the land after it says you shall be as the sand of the sea, right?
You talking about Hosea?
Yeah. Because I've turned away from it. I'll turn back to it if there's time. I just didn't want to hold everybody up.
Yeah, that's okay. We got it.
It says that.
Go ahead.
My bad. You saying?
Hosea 1 or Hosea 2? Which section were you in for that part?
Hosea 1, and it's 10 through 11.
Okay.
So you can identify the fact that they are coming up out of curses during this process. And what's interesting is that we'll talk about the blood of Christ. We talk about how salvation is to the Jew first and then to the Gentile. But the blood of Christ is a blessing. And I'm pretty sure everybody would agree to that. So what it shows is that there's a transitional phase that has to take place before you see a complete picture of salvation. I believe you would call it a victory montage, vocab.
Oh, you're talking about the submission motif. Victory montage, that would be like during Rocky or something. I'm talking about the submission motif.
Yeah, victory montage, submission motif. It's something illustrating the perseverance that leads towards a victory. I believe we can agree that we see that in the prophetic text, but this is one example. I'll let you continue.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I feel like we had some great guests today, including you, Ash, people who jumped on and shared their perspective, their opinion. And I appreciate everyone who contributed. Don't have time to take any more comments. We had a lot of people watching today, which I appreciate, but we do not have time to get any more because we have to end it right about now. I don't know if you want to say a final thing, Dinu. We may do this again. I don't know where I do a more formal review. I really wanted people to hear I wanted to hear people's voice on this one. But what do you maybe want to say, Dinu, if you got anything to close out the show?
Yeah, I think that, I'm just echoing what people have said previously, but I think that it was great that this debate happened. I agree with what you said, that it proves that dialogue like this can happen. It doesn't always have to be disrespectful. It can be productive. And again, I always say that debates aren't necessarily only for the participants. It's for people who are going to go back to this debate on YouTube and watch it 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. And so I think that it's just useful and beneficial in people just coming to the truth of the gospel and what the scriptures are actually teaching us about who the Lord is.
No doubt, 100%. And shout out to the live chat. It was awesome to have you guys come in. I think the only person who gave a super chat out of hundreds of people watching was Jay Fry. So shout out to you, man. Thanks for holding it down. Hopefully some of you guys become channel members or become one of the patrons, because we're trying to hit a goal of 100 and we only have about a week left to do it, and we need 2 or 3 more. I got to look at what it is. And so I hope that does happen. The way the thing worked with the debate is, it was a ministry, a labor of love. Because Brian hosted it, he was the one person who recouped something from it. The debaters weren't there for that. And so, I appreciate one person last night actually sent a good little Cash App to myself. I didn't request anything, and it literally said, let me see where it goes. It literally said, "Thank you for moderating." Like it was, Ezra Maxberry, for being a moderator. So I appreciate that. That was really kind of you. And so shout out to everyone in the live chat. Crimson Hawk, what's up? Crimson Hawk, what's up? And He says oh, you got 8 months of membership. Okay, congratulations to you, Crimson Hawk. Looks like you got an AI profile. Good show today and great debate, vocab piece. Hey, thank you for real, and thank you for the super chat. Seriously, we, I'm bivocational, so that's how this is. And I appreciate y'all. And Dinu, you're a great moderator, although you had to kind of jump on and be a panelist. But we got Nate holding it down, and we got some great people here. One day maybe we'll have 4,000, and you guys are going to have to be really busy.
Well, we got the rules. Just follow the rules. Pretend it's the law.
No doubt. All right, we're going to jam out here. I appreciate everyone who came through. Look forward to doing something again, sometimes this weekend, but it just depends when it can happen. Got to get out of here. God bless. Peace out, y'all. Check out the debate on Brother Brian's channel. You'll enjoy it. Shalom.